Guys, I have an announcement. Alex's voice, soft and almost shy, twisted my stomach in knots. My best friend, Alejandro Morales, was sitting across from me at the table, surrounded by our entire friend group and their partners. He was trying way too hard to act casual, failing miserably. A nervous half-smile played at the corners of his lips as he leaned in toward the man beside him. Diego Serrano, his boyfriend. The guy looked like he'd stepped off a billboard. Sharp suit, expensive watch, the whole deal. Honestly, he rubbed me the wrong way in every possible way. Who wears a designer suit to a casual rooftop bar? He screamed privilege, like the kind of guy who had stability, family money, and a polished sense of class. I hated him the moment we shook hands. And in that instant, I knew exactly what Alex was about to say. My chest tightened, even before the words left his mouth. Diego proposed. Alex said, his voice steady. And I said yes. The table fell into stunned silence for a moment. Then no gasped, loud enough for heads to turn from nearby tables. Ines shrieked, clutching Alex's arm like she was auditioning for telenovela. I just stared at him, frozen. Wait, what? Married? Alex was getting married. A few of our friends looked over at me, waiting for my reaction. Even Alex himself, his eyes on me, full of expectation and something like guilt. In that instant, memories flashed through my mind. Moments of us together. Him underneath me kissing him behind his office desk, the comfort of our shared bed, the way I held him when he cried about his fourth heartbreak. Then there was the sex that followed, wild and reckless, a way to erase the mess of his past relationships. 7 years of memories, and none of them had ever felt like this. Seconds passed, though it felt like longer, until I felt a nudge under the table. It was Javier giving me that look, one that made me want to smash my glass over his head. Everyone was waiting for me to react. So I forced a smile, lifted my drink, and my voice came out smooth, practiced. Congratulations, bro. As if on cue, the rest of the table raised their glasses, chairs scraping, cheers overlapping. Laughter filled the air, and glasses clinked all around. But inside, I was frozen. Married. He's getting married? When did their relationship got so serious? I sat there, thoughts spinning, as I watched Diego kiss Alex full on the mouth, like he wanted to prove something. Alex smiled, shy and almost embarrassed, but he let him. And Diego? He looked like a man who had just won the damn lottery. Like he'd beat all of us to the prize. My jaw ached from clenching. I forced myself to laugh at Ines's joke, not at nose squealing, but the sound around me blurred. All I could focus on was Diego's hand sliding down Alex's back. I had to get out. I need a smoke, I muttered, pushing my chair back. No one stopped me. Why would they? I was Rafa, the reckless one, the unreliable one. The guy who disappeared mid-party because he got bored. It was my role, but my chest felt like it was on fire. The night air hit me, cooler than inside, but it didn't calm me. I lit up, dragging on the cigarette like it could ground me, but my hand shook. If you haven't figured it out yet, Alex wasn't just my best friend. He was so much more. We met in college as roommates and fell into a messy friends with benefits arrangement. It started by accident, then turned into a habit. I was the one who suggested it back then. Why not? He was all about perfect grades, all wound up in his studies, and I was, well, me, wild, reckless, and not interested in anything serious. He said yes. We kept going, stopping only when one of us got into a relationship. But it was never anything serious, so we stayed each other's default for 7 years. That's how it was, until I caught feelings. Hey Daydreamers, thanks for tuning in. If you're liking this story so far, tell us where you're listening from in the comment section and hit the subscribe and notification buttons so you don't miss any story uploads. Let's continue. I leaned on the railing, watching the city lights, pretending my lungs weren't burning with more than nicotine. I'd barely managed a second drag when footsteps clicked behind me. Smoking already? Didn't even wait for dessert. No, of course. She never let me disappear quietly. She slid in beside me, resting her elbows on the railing, dark eyes scanning me sideways. I exhaled slowly. Don't start, no. Start what? Her tone was light, but her gaze was sharp. You're gonna stand here pretending you don't care that your best friend just announced his engagement? I forced a smirk. Why would I care? He's happy. Isn't that what matters? Bullshit. She didn't flinch, didn't soften. You've been in love with Alex for years. It's painful to watch, and everyone can see it, everyone except him. My chest tightened. I flicked the ash off the cigarette, jaw clenching. You're drunk. She snorted. I've had one sangria. Don't try me, Rafa. Silence stretched, The noise from inside, drifting through the door, laughter, clinking glasses, Alex's voice tangled in the mix. I dragged on the cigarette, trying to steady myself. It doesn't matter what I feel. He's marrying Serrano. That's that. Note tilted her head, studying me like a puzzle she'd already solved. So, what are you going to do? Smile through the wedding photos? Be best man at the altar while your heart's breaking? Or are you finally going to stop hiding and do something about it? I laughed, but it was hollow, jagged. Hide? Feelings? Please. I'm Rafa. I don't catch feelings. I don't even know what love is. Her voice softened, but it cut deeper. We both know that's what you want people to see. And now you've been hiding behind that Playboy mask so long, you've started believing it yourself. I bit down on the cigarette's filter, hard enough it almost snapped. Because she wasn't wrong. I had told Alex once, half asleep, words slipping out before I could stop them, that I loved him. He'd laugh it off. Yeah, right. You love everyone, Rafa. And that was it. I stopped trying. Being his reckless, flirty friend was safer than risking everything and losing him. No reached over, flicked the cigarette from my fingers, and crushed it under her heel. So, tell me, Lobo, are you really going to let Diego win without even fighting? I flinched at the nickname. Lobo. Alex gave me that name. It meant wolf, hungry, restless, always circling but never biting. I forced another smirk, but my throat tightened. There's nothing I can do, no. You know Alex. Once he decides something, nothing changes his mind. But the words tasted like ash. The truth was, I didn't know if I could let him go. Not without bleeding for it. The first time Alex and I slept together was awkward as hell. We'd joked about it before, me teasing him about being too studious, him rolling his eyes. But that night, drunk off our asses in our dorm, sprawled across my twin bed, we kissed once, then pulled back, laughing nervously. But we kissed again, and again. Suddenly, it wasn't funny anymore. It wasn't smooth. His glasses fell off. My elbow almost sent a lamp flying. But when it was over, tangled in sheets that smelled like cheap detergent, I realized it should have felt strange. But it didn't. The next morning, I was sure he'd want to forget it. But he knocked on my door, leaned against the frame, and said, Rafa, I've been thinking. His voice was serious, like he was about to lecture me. You know I'm not good at relationships, he said. I don't have time. I don't have the patience. But what we did, that could work. With rules. Rules. Of course, Alex wanted rules. No strings. No jealousy. No expectations. Just comfort. I laughed because it sounded insane, but perfect. Exactly the chaos I lived for. So I agreed. For a while, it was wild, chaotic, secret. We talked about rules. No telling our friends, no sleeping over, no feelings. And then we broke every rule. The first time I realized I was in trouble wasn't during sex. It was after. He'd fallen asleep against me, his hair a mess, lips swollen from kissing. I should have shoved him off. But instead, I just lay there, breathing him in. And that's when it hit me. No one else had ever made me feel like this. No one could compare. That night, I knew I was fucked. It wasn't just physical anymore. Not for me. Now, I sit in Alex's living room, watching Diego parade him around like some prize. The apartment is full, family, friends, the chaos of wedding prep. I play my role, leaning against the counter with a drink, cracking jokes, pretending I'm fine. But the truth is, I can't stop watching Alex. The way he leans into Diego's touch. The way Diego smiles like he owns him. Jealousy burns in my gut, sharp and ugly. At one point, Diego's mother claps Alex on the shoulder, saying how lucky he is to have found someone so stable. Her eyes flick to me, just for a second, like she's comparing, reminding me I'll never measure up. Maybe she's right. Still, I can't help it. 5 months, I say, swirling my drink. That's quick for forever, isn't it? The room goes quiet for a beat. Alex's head snaps toward me, eyes sharp. Rafa. I smirk, raising my drink. Just saying. The conversation resumes, awkward at first, then flowing. Everyone laughs, talks over me, ignores me like I'm nothing. But I caught it. The flicker in Alex's gaze, the tightening of his jaw. I roll my eyes, but part of me wonders, maybe, just maybe, he's not as sure as he pretends to be. There's no way I'm just letting this go. Maybe Noah's right. I was a coward. I'd been so scared of losing Alex that I did nothing to win his heart. Now, I'm going to watch him marry another man. Since the engagement, Alex had been avoiding me, and with his family drowning in wedding preparations, we barely had any time alone. So when his tux fitting came up and he called me to join, because of course, Diego couldn't be there for some urgent meeting, I knew this was my chance. The cramped tailor shop smelled like starch and old wood. Alex stood in front of the mirror, tugging at his jacket like it was choking him. I don't know, he muttered, brow furrowed. Doesn't feel right. Looks fine, the tailor said, pinning the back of the suit. You'll break hearts in that. I smirked. He already does. Alex shot me a look in the mirror. Don't start. I circled him, taking in the suit. Navy, slim fit, very Diego. Not Alex. He was more a rolled-up sleeves, half-buttoned shirt kind of guy. But damn, he still looked good. Here, I said, stepping behind him. The tailor stepped aside reluctantly as I adjusted his tie, smoothing the lapels, letting my body brush against his. My fingers lingered just a beat too long on his chest. He went rigid, eyes fixed ahead. You're holding your shoulders too tight, I murmured, close enough for him to feel my breath in his ear. Relax. He shivered and swallowed but stayed still. I let my hands trail down, brushing off invisible lint, fingers drifting lower than necessary. See? Fits perfectly. Rafa. His voice was quiet, strained. I met his eyes in the mirror, letting the corner of my mouth curl. What? Just helping. For a moment, neither of us moved. The tension between us thickened, familiar, electric. It had always been like this. I leaned in closer, my lips almost brushing his ear. You remember, don't you? How good we are together. His eyes shut for half a second, and I knew he remembered. Then he pulled away, shaking his head. Don't, he said, voice clipped. Don't make this harder. I laughed, sharp and bitter. Harder? You're marrying a guy you met months ago. You think I can make that harder? His jaw tightened, but he didn't answer. Instead, he nodded at the tailor, muttered something about needing air, and walked out. I stayed behind, my hands still burning from where they touched him. Because the truth was, I wasn't just helping. I was trying to remind him who had him first, who knew him best, who made him feel alive. And, judging by the look in his eyes, he hadn't forgotten. After that, Alex started avoiding me altogether, and it drove me crazy. He was my best friend, and seeing him actively cutting me out of his life only deepened my fears. Slowly, he stopped responding to my texts, canceled plans. Before Diego, Alex and I had a rhythm. Friday nights meant drinks or bad movies at my place. Saturday mornings meant coffee runs where he'd complain about my driving. Random Tuesdays meant takeout after a brutal shift at the hospital. But now, sorry, Diego's got this dinner thing. Can't tonight. Meeting Diego's parents. Rain check, Rafa. Promise. Promises that never stuck. I was pissed. Even when I threw a party, just a usual monthly friends get-together he never missed, he was absent. No reason. Usually, Alex would be there, grumbling about the noise, stealing my drink, ending up passed out on my couch. But that night, not a word. I tried to ignore it, but every time my phone buzzed, I checked, hoping it was him. Nothing. Later, Javier stepped onto the balcony, cigarette dangling from his lips. He gave me a look, the kind that made me want to punch him. What? I snapped. He shrugged. Just wondering how long you're going to keep pretending. Pretending what? That you're not gutted every time Alex picks Diego over you. I barked a bitter laugh. Please. I couldn't care less. Javier blew smoke, smirking. Sure. That's why you've been checking your phone all night. I flip him off, but his words stuck. Dude, I know this is going to hurt, but it's time you let it sink in. Alex is getting married. I know, Javier, but it's just so hard. I know, but you need to accept it. You missed your chance. If you'd stepped up and confessed back then, maybe we'd be planning your wedding instead of his. It's not too late, you know. I mean, come on. Alex just met the guy like 5 months ago. You really think he's ready to settle down? Dude, stop being delusional. The marriage is happening. Alex really loves him and is looking forward to the wedding. You're his best friend. Do you really want to lose him completely by opposing this? I stood there, chest heavy with the truth. I knew Javier was right. I needed to accept it. But damn, it hurt. Even now, knowing I'd missed my chance, the thought of losing him forever made all the feelings I'd buried resurface. And I didn't know how to handle it. But Javier was right. I needed to be there for Alex. If it meant watching him marry someone else, even though it hurt, that's what I had to do. 2 days later, Alex texted me. Movie night? Like nothing had changed. Like Diego didn't exist. We were back to our usual routine. Of course I went. When I got to his apartment, he was in sweats, hair damp from a shower, glasses sliding down his nose. We watched some dumb comedy that barely made either of us laugh. But it didn't matter. At one point, I stretched out, dropping my head back on the couch. He nudged me with his foot. You're hogging the blanket. I kicked him back, grinning. Get your own. It was nothing. Small. Stupid. But it felt so good. Too good. Halfway through, I realized my chest ached. Not because I wanted to kiss him, though I did, but because I wanted this. Forever. The easy silence. The routine. Him next to me like he belonged there. And the thought of losing it, losing him, was unbearable. Later, when he fell asleep halfway through the movie, I didn't move him. I just sat there, watching him, memorizing the way his face softened in sleep. Thinking, this is what I'm going to miss the most. Not the sex, not the kissing, just this. The wedding plans rolled on like a freight train, tuxes, venues, endless dinners with family. Alex was buried in it, and Diego was always there, grinning like the cat who caught the canary. Me? I got scraps. A coffee here, a text there. And when I did get him, he was distracted, buzzing with reminders about florists or photographers. I managed, pretending to be fine, until I found out from Javier, not Alex, that he'd asked Miguel, one of our closest friends, to be his best man. Not me, his best friend. That sent me over the edge. I was already struggling to accept that I had to stand by his side at the altar, watching the love of my life marry another man, but this felt like a slap in the face. Furious, I drove to his apartment. He was buried in wedding plans when I barged in. So Miguel, huh? I leaned against the counter, arms crossed. Alex froze mid-step, keys still in his hand. What? Best man, I said, voice flat. Guess congratulations are in order. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. Rafa? No, seriously. Great choice. The guy who can't give a toast without sweating through his shirt. Inspired. Don't be an ass, he shot back, voice sharper than usual. I pushed off the counter, closing the gap between us. Then explain it to me. Why him? Why not me? Alex looked away, jaw tight. He was struggling to come up with a lie, and that's when I knew. It's Diego, isn't it? I asked, voice low, trembling with anger. He doesn't like me. Doesn't like us. Alex's silence told me everything I needed to know. I laughed, bitter and raw. Unbelievable. You let him decide? What next? He tells you who you can be friends with. What clothes to wear. That's not it. Alex snapped. He's uncomfortable. He knows about us. About before. The words hit me like a punch. He knows. I stepped back, cold creeping in. You told him? I didn't have to. He figured it out. He asked and I told him. He deserves honesty. Honesty. The word stung. I stared at him, disbelief and hurt flaring up inside me. Honesty? And what does that change? We haven't done anything since both of you got together. So what's his problem? Is it so easy for you to cut me out when someone tells you to? Am I that disposable to you now? After everything we've been through? Everything we've done together? After all the sex and... His voice dropped, pained. Rafa, come on. You're blowing this out of proportion. We were never more than... Don't. I cut in, my voice sharp. Don't you dare finish that sentence. We stood there, the silence thick enough to choke. Finally, his voice softened, almost pleading. Please, don't make this harder. And that was it. I saw it then. Maybe I just had to accept my fate. I left his apartment more bitter than I'd ever been, avoiding him until I got the invitation to his bachelor party, just 2 weeks before the wedding. I forced myself to go. It was loud, chaotic. Half the people were strangers. Definitely not Alex's scene. Just to show how little Miguel knew him, I sighed and drank. Drank to dull the ache, to shrink into the background. Especially when Alex walked in, looking like he'd just stepped out of a magazine. He was perfect and almost blinded me. I drank until the room spun, until the buzz in my chest felt like liquid courage and desperation all rolled into one. Later, I stumbled out of the crowd and found Alex leaning against the hallway wall. Tie loose, hair messy, looking every bit seductive. God, I must have been drunk. But maybe that gave me the courage I needed. I grabbed his arm and pulled him away from the bar to my hotel room. We need to talk. Rafa, you're drunk. He tried to pull away. Yeah, I slurred. Drunk enough to finally say what I should have years ago. His frown deepened. Don't do this. I pressed him against the wall once we got inside, my hands braced on either side of him. Not gently. Too rough. His eyes widened. For a second, I hated myself. Stop, he shoved me hard. This isn't you. But then it all spilled out, raw and ugly. I love you. Silence. Alex froze, his breath catching. What? I'm in love with you. I repeated, my voice breaking. I've loved you since... Hell, I don't even know when. Since you smiled at me in that shitty dorm room and hit my head with a beer can for being too loud. Since you gripped my hair so hard the second time we had sex. Since you... His hand shook as he pushed against my chest, cutting me off. Rafa, stop. You don't love me. You're just bitter I'm getting married. I do, damn it. My throat burned. Why can't it be me? Why him? Why that sleaze bag you met just months ago? His head shook in disbelief. You're lying. I'm not. I whispered, gently caressing his face. I pulled him closer, pressing my lips softly to his. Please, don't marry him, I begged, my words breaking. I can't do this without you. Please, don't leave me. I love you, Alex. I kissed him again, each sentence a kiss, hoping he could feel the weight of my words. Alex didn't speak at first. He just stared at me, shock in his eyes, and then a single tear slipped down his cheek. I reached out and wiped it away. Why didn't you say anything? All these years, he asked, his voice soft. Because I was scared. Scared you wouldn't feel the same. That you cut me out and I'd lose you. I couldn't afford that. My heart thundered in my chest as I finally said it out loud. His eyes fluttered shut as he leaned into me, a soft sigh escaping, like he'd been waiting to hear those words. Hope surged in me, and when he took my hands and pressed them to his face, I pulled him into a kiss. He froze for a moment, then slowly, hesitantly, kissed me back. God, I had missed him. It had been months since we last touched like this. I couldn't get enough, didn't want to stop. But just as my heart started to race with excitement, Alex jerked back, pushing me away. It's too late, Rafa. You can't do this now. I stood there, my heart splintering. But then I caught his eyes. They darted to my lips, and I saw him bite down on his own. He was tempted. I knew it. I took a step closer, my voice soft. You don't mean that. I kissed him again, harder this time, pulling him deeper into the room. His body responded, his lips softening, and the kiss was everything I'd remembered. Wild, messy, and full of everything we'd kept hidden for too long. Years of longing spilled between us. We tumbled into the heat of it, hands roaming, hearts pounding. It was raw, it was real, it was everything. When we finally broke apart, breathless and tangled, I lay next to him, holding him close. I whispered, I love you. Over and over, each word a plea. I fell asleep with him pressed against me, my heart finally at peace. He had opened up to me. He had let me claim him, and in that moment, I felt like I had him for good. To hell with Diego. He was mine now. But when I woke, his side of the bed was empty. My heart dropped as I saw the note. I'm sorry, Rafa. I meant it when I said it's too late now. I'm getting married in 2 weeks. Last night was goodbye. The words hit like a punch. I sat frozen, the taste of him still on my lips as hot, angry tears slid down my face. The knowledge that the love of my life was slipping through my fingers tore me apart. I sat there for a long time, the world around me spinning as I tried to make sense of it all. But there was no sense to be made. It was over, and I had lost him. The next few days were brutal. The wedding preparations were in full swing, and I avoided Alex as much as I could. When I did see him, he acted cold, like nothing had happened between us. I tried to pretend, but it was impossible. So I stopped showing up altogether, skipped hangouts, ignored texts, let the group chats pile up unanswered. At first, no one seemed concerned. They just thought I was being my usual self. But when Ines and No barged into my apartment for movie night, I completely broke down. It was a mess, and by the end of it, I resolved to skip the wedding altogether. I just couldn't do it. They thought I was joking at first, but when I missed fittings and rehearsal dinners, they started realizing I was serious. One night, I came home to find Javier waiting on the steps of my building, cigarette dangling from his lips like he owned the place. I groaned. Dude, ease up on the smoking. My neighbors are going to file a complaint. TSKS, he flicked the ash into the street. You've been ghosting us for days. Thought maybe you died. Well, I might as well have. He raised an eyebrow. You're really not going to come, are you? I shoved past him, fishing for my keys. What, to the wedding? Why the hell would I? Because he's your best friend. The words hit hard, sharp, and unfair. I unlocked the door and stepped inside, but Javier followed. Rafa, you can't just... Yes, I can. I dropped my bag on the couch and rubbed at my temples. I can't stand there in a monkey suit while he promises forever to Diego Serrano, like the last 10 years meant nothing. Like I meant nothing. My voice cracked at the end, and I hated it. Javier watched me unravel, then sat down carefully like I was some wounded animal. You're seriously in love with him. Not a question. I laughed bitterly. Congratulations, Sherlock. And he still doesn't know how deep you fell. He knows. I swallowed hard, throat burning. I told him. The night of the bachelor party. I told him everything. And you know what he left me with? I pulled a crumpled note from the coffee table drawer and tossed it at him. That. Javier flattened it out, read the words, his jaw tightening. Bastard, he muttered. No. I shook my head, sinking onto the couch. He's not. I am a coward. I should have confessed when I had the chance. But now he's with Diego, and he's in love. So yeah, my loss. Silence stretched, thick and uncomfortable. Javier sighed, leaning back. So what now? You're just going to cut him out? Skip the wedding? Pretend he never existed? I don't know. My chest ached. But I can't watch him marry someone else. I'd rather die. Javier didn't argue. He just nodded, as if he understood. But his eyes told me something I didn't want to admit. No matter what I said, no matter how much I pretended, I wasn't done with Alex. Not by a long shot. You know what I think? Javier stood to leave. If you truly love him, you'd be there for him as his best friend. If not, then you're just a selfish bastard. I spent days chewing over Javier's words. The wedding was only 5 days away, and I still hadn't spoken to Alex or decided if I would attend. I kept getting updates from the group chats, emails, and all the usual wedding noise. I knew everything was going according to plan. It hurt. Every single day, I felt more detached from him, and I missed him so much. I knew how I was acting wasn't fair to Alex. Some nights, I'd write him long texts, pouring out everything I couldn't say, but I never sent them. Nothing seemed right. Nothing could explain how it felt to love someone who had chosen someone else. It felt like living in a nightmare, not my life. I had never pictured us here, but I got lost in fantasies, never taking control of my reality, never telling him how I truly felt. Now, I was paying the price for it. The guilt followed me everywhere. Even sitting in a cafe just outside town, I couldn't escape him. It was a place Alex had recommended, a franchise of his favorite brand. Everything reminded me of him. His face, his smile, his laugh, his brown curls and golden eyes. Even the coffee on my table reminded me of him. I sighed and drained my cup before standing to leave. As I headed to my car, my eyes caught a couple standing together. The man was leaning against the door of a car, smiling down at a smaller woman, her belly clearly showing under her dress. His hand rested on her stomach, and something about the scene made me smile. I had imagined this with Alex, adopting a child or using a surrogate. Why hadn't I just taken a chance with him? The thought made my stomach twist. Then my gaze snapped to the man's face. Was that Diego? My stomach churned. No, I wasn't mistaken. That was Diego, Alex's fiancé. What the hell? What was going on? I fumbled for my phone, pulling it out, camera up. My heart hammered in my chest. I couldn't stop myself. Click. Diego Serrano, kissing a woman in the open street, her swollen belly pressed into his hand. My chest felt like it was caving in as I shoved the phone back into my pocket, palms slick with sweat. My first instinct was to call Alex. Before I could stop myself, I hit dial. He answered on the third ring, his voice tired. Rafa. I swallowed, trying to sound casual. Failing. Where are you? Home. Why? I almost blurted it. He's cheating. I saw him. Get out now. But my throat seized around the words. Nothing. Just my grip tightened on the phone. Alex, do you trust Diego? Silence. Then his voice, sharp. What's that supposed to mean? It means I felt the tremor in my voice. I don't trust him, and I don't think you should either. There was a long pause, followed by a long exhale. Then, God, Rafa. This again. It's not again, I snapped. I'm trying to tell you. No, his voice cut through. What you're trying to do is sabotage my wedding because you can't stand the thought of me with someone else. I froze. Alex, you've made your feelings clear. But it's too late. The wedding's happening. I'm marrying Diego. And if you can't accept that, maybe you shouldn't come. My chest hollowed out. I hung up without a word. The photo I'd taken stared back at me on the screen. Proof of Diego's betrayal. A whole family, a secret life. But he wouldn't believe me, would he? 10 years meant nothing to him. He'd rather believe a stranger. Something bitter twisted in my gut, and I hit delete. It didn't matter anymore, but I couldn't let it go. The next day, I found myself outside Diego's house, fists clenched with rage. He opened the door, surprised. Rafa? To what do I owe this visit? Last time I checked, you and Alex weren't speaking. I shoved past him. Call it off. He chuckled, closing the door behind me. Straight to business. I like that. I'm not playing. My voice was cold. You don't love him. You're with someone else. Careful, he warned, his smile thinning. Baseless accusations could get you uninvited. I saw you. My voice shook. With a pregnant woman. Don't play games. Something flickered in his eyes, but he covered it with a smirk. So, this is the part where you run, crying to him. Huh? Rafa, the jealous ex, trying to ruin our wedding from day one. My chest burned. Don't you dare. Why not? Diego leaned in, voice dripping with venom. Isn't that what you've been waiting for? For me to slip up? So he comes running back to you. I wanted to hit him. God, I wanted to. But instead, I forced myself to breathe. You're a liar. The truth always comes out. And when it does, you'll lose him. Not because of me, because of you. His smirk faltered just a crack. You want me gone so badly? Then do it yourself. Tell him. See if he believes you. No, I said, stepping closer. You're going to tell him. If you have any decency left, you'll tell him yourself. He deserves that. For a moment, Diego's confidence wavered, but I left before I could punch him in the face. Outside, the cold air hit me, but my chest burned with helpless rage. Turns out Diego was just an heartless bastard and didn't confess to Alex. And how did I know that while the wedding was still happening? Now I regretted deleting that photo now. Diego's betrayal was right there in front of me, and without proof, anything I said would sound like a bitter attempt to ruin the wedding. I had nothing. The night before the wedding, I played the role of the good friend, as my friends advised. At the hotel his family had rented for the wedding, everyone gathered in the lobby, just us without the groom. Alex was there, surrounded by friends. I kept my distance, avoiding his gaze and limiting our conversations. But then he approached me. We slipped into a casual conversation, but the tension was thick. It pained me to see the distance between us. This was my best friend, the guy I had laughed with and shared everything with. Now it felt like we were struggling to speak. I apologized, told him I was sorry for everything, and that I wanted him to be happy. If Diego made him happy, I tried to accept it. But that wasn't true. Alex raised an eyebrow. I took it back. I can't be happy with it. I regret not confessing earlier. We could have been together, but I'm sorry for causing you distress. If you need me, I'll be there. He seemed to soften at my words, his smile returning. He appreciated my honesty, and soon, the rest of our friends dragged him to dance and drink. I stayed, watching him for a moment before slipping away to my room, my heart heavy. Later, I woke to a soft knock at the door, barely audible. I rubbed my eyes, checking the time, 2 a.m. Who could it be? If it was Javier, I'd be pissed. I opened the door to find Alex standing there. He stepped inside and shut the door behind him. His eyes were fixed on me, intense. The look was familiar, a look that said he was about to do something reckless, something we used to do. Before, that would have thrilled me. But now, it only filled me with anger. What are you doing here? My voice was hoarse. He didn't answer right away. His shoulders were stiff, eyes dark with exhaustion. I couldn't. His voice cracked, and he stopped. You're getting married in a few hours, I muttered. Shouldn't you be with him? His jaw tightened. Don't. I laughed bitterly, rubbing my face. Why are you here, Alex? To tell me again it's too late? I got the message. I can't do it, he blurted out. I froze. What? He ran a hand through his hair, pacing like a trapped animal. I was going to marry him because it felt safe. He wanted me, and I thought I could want him back. But then, he stopped looking at me. His voice broke. The thought of losing you. I just can't breathe. My heart slammed into my chest. I stayed frozen, watching him, tears streaming down his face. I don't want to marry him. Part of me wanted to celebrate, but I fought it down. I can't believe I'm saying this, but you're just having wedding jitters. You know it happens. I've heard brides get cold feet. Alex looked at me, incredulous. No, I'm not. I'm thinking more clearly than I've ever been. I miss you so much. The closer the wedding gets, the more I realize that you should be standing at that altar with me. I want to be with you, not Diego. Alex, what are you saying? My voice trembled. Why are you doing this to me? I love you, Rafa, he said, his voice raw. I want to be with you. I miss you so much these past few weeks. I can't sleep and can't stop thinking about you. Alex's words hit me with raw sincerity, and my heart skipped a beat. He loves me. The hope surged, uncontrollable. I stepped closer, closing the distance in 2 strides. Say it again. His throat bobbed. I'm a mess without you, Rafa. I love you too. And then I was kissing him, crashing our mouths together, as if all the years of silence had been building to this moment. His hands gripped my shirt, pulling me closer, kissing me with a hunger I hadn't felt before. I shoved him back against the wall, my hands tracing every inch of him, his jaw, his chest, his hips, as if to remind myself that he was real. God, I hate you, I muttered, biting his lip. No, you don't. His laugh was breathless, desperate. You love me. Say it. I love you. The words spilled out, raw and desperate with all the emotions I'd been holding back. He groaned, pulling me back down into the kiss, our bodies pressing together. Every inch of him against me set my blood on fire. Clothes fell away, his shirt yanked off, my belt discarded. By the time we tumbled onto the bed, we were both half naked, shaking with need. It wasn't like before. This wasn't just about passion. It was consuming, reckless, a release of everything we'd held inside. His nails raked down my back, and his legs locked around me, pulling me closer, deeper. His breath was hot in my ear. "No one will ever make you feel this way," I whispered, the words raw, pressing against him, desperate to show him how much I needed him. "Rafa," his voice cracked, and it undid me completely. We moved together, like we'd been waiting for this for years, bodies slick, mouths everywhere, the room filled with the sound of our frantic breaths and soft moans. When he hit his peak, clinging to me like I was the only thing keeping him grounded, I thought, this is it. This is ours. Afterward, tangled in sheets, both of us gasping for breath, he pressed his forehead to mine. "Te amo." The air around us smelled like sweat and whiskey in him. I ached in a way I'd never felt before, like I'd crossed every line I'd ever promised I wouldn't. The city outside was just beginning to stir, pale light creeping through the curtains, and beside me, Alex lay staring at the ceiling as though the weight of the world was on his chest. For a long time, we didn't speak. We just breathed together, side by side, pretending that time wasn't slipping away, pretending his wedding wasn't just hours away. Finally, I broke the silence. "You've got, what, 2 hours before you're supposed to walk down that aisle." His mouth twitched, like he wanted to smile, but couldn't. "Yeah." I rolled onto my side, watching him, my best friend, the one I wasn't supposed to want this much. "Diego's cheating on me." I froze. Wait, what? He knew Alex knew? That was all I could think of at that moment. Alex licked his lips, his eyes darting toward the wall. "I met her. Diego's mistress. 3 days ago." His voice cracked. "She came to me, said she was pregnant. Said Diego promised her things he never gave." The air slammed out of my lungs. "Really?" His hand clenched the sheets. "I told her to leave me out of it, that it wasn't my business." "It was your business." I shot up, my chest burning with anger. "Why the hell are you still going through with the wedding?" Alex flinched but didn't look away. "Because I was afraid. Afraid of the scandal. Afraid of disappointing my family." His voice wavered. "I just didn't want to disappoint them again." I laughed bitterly, pressing my palms to my eyes. "Since when did you care what people think?" Alex sighed. "Since my dad announced he was proud of me for at least marrying into wealth. I was a coward. I'm sorry." My heart slammed in my chest. "So what made you want to end it?" His eyes met mine, wide with desperation. "When you pulled away, when I thought you wouldn't come today, Rafa, I didn't know what to do with myself. The thought of you being gone hurt worse than anything. You're the only thing that makes me feel like I'm not suffocating." I didn't move, just stared at him, trying to process it all. Then, slowly, I leaned down, pressing my forehead to his. "Then don't do it. Don't marry him. Don't settle. Run with me." He let out a shaky laugh. "Run where?" "Anywhere. Nowhere. Doesn't matter." I cupped his face, forcing him to look at me. "Let's just leave." His chest hitched. Slowly, he smiled, a glint of wildness and freedom in his eyes. "Okay." And then we left. By the time we made it to the water, the city shrinking behind us, the sun was high. I wrapped my arms around Alex from behind as he leaned against the railing, his laugh carried by the wind. He looked lighter, like chains had fallen off him. His phone buzzed in my hand, his wedding planner, probably thinking he was late. Alex met my eyes. "Answer it." I did. The screen was chaos, Diego pacing at the altar, the church full of guests whispering. Alex took the phone, his voice steady. "Diego, I'm not coming." Gasps filled the room on screen. Diego's face twisted in fury. "What the hell do you mean you're not coming?" Before Alex could answer, I leaned into the frame, wrapping my arms around him from behind. My chin rested on his shoulder, smirking. "Sorry, Diego," I said, savoring every word. "The groom's mine now." The line exploded, shouts, whispers, someone screaming in the background. Diego's face turned red. Then the church doors burst open. A woman walked in, belly swollen, rage in her eyes. The room gasped. Alex's voice was cold steel. "Oh, and I invited your girlfriend over, Diego. You should have been honest about cheating on me. But who am I to judge? I slept with Rafa after our engagement." He turned to the room, grinning. "Sorry, Mom and Dad. The wedding's off." Chaos erupted. I could hear our friends laughing and cheering from the side. As Alex ended the call, I was in shock, but then he turned to me, laughing wildly. He tossed the phone aside and pulled me into a kiss. God, I love this man. I couldn't believe I just stole the groom from his wedding. But at that moment, I didn't care. The end. Thanks for listening to this story. If you enjoy this story, share your enthusiasm in the comment section, and don't forget to hit the subscribe and notification buttons so you don't miss any story uploads. See you in the next one.